So 2020 Turkish Grand Prix. Um, I think that was an unbelievable race. Like, it's probably got to be top 20 races I've ever seen. Maybe. Would you agree?
I don't know. It was definitely the best race of the year. Um, yeah, it felt like at some stage, like anyone could have won the race. Um, yeah, it was, I don't know. It's kind of anticlimactic that Lewis Hamilton eventually, oh, he won again. But then, but then it was
Yeah,
exciting because like it was like, oh, one of the Ferraris could win, one of the Racing Points could win, the Red Bulls were there as well. So yeah, I was like, it was actually like a 7 horse race for like a bit.
yeah. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, this is the first like proper wet race of the season, and
Mm,
it just goes to show like I feel like this race was not even just the wet, like it being that it was raining. It's also the fact that the track hasn't been used in almost a decade, and it just got
yeah.
replaced, and all the grease was on the track for like most of the weekend. So
Hmm.
yeah, um, I guess like I feel like there's just so much that went on in this race. It's just easier to like go from the start, I guess. So
Yeah.
or even qualifying.
Yeah. The thing about the greased track, the grease track, like it kind of, I don't know. I want to say it ruined a lot of practice time for drivers, but like it made like practice and stuff more difficult. So like when it got to qualifying, like people were less prepared.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like that might be, I don't know. Looking at this, it might be like a good argument, like making practice times in that whole practice debate where people are like, oh, we should have like smaller practice, get rid of like one of the practice sessions or something like that,
yeah,
I guess. But I just wanted to put that point out there.
yeah. Um, yeah. I guess going back to Saturday, somehow it was another wet session, and somehow Lance Stroll got pole. I don't even like know, to be honest, how.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. Um, yeah, it was like, because I was watching it, I was just like, oh yeah, Max Verstappen's probably gonna get this because like the Mercedes were like just nowhere to be seen. I was just like, yeah, it's probably gonna be Max Verstappen, and then Lance Stroll just pulled out of nowhere. I was just like, fuck.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess like um, going on to like the first lap, um, the main things to happen would obviously Vettel got a nutty start, and the
Mm.
Renaults the Renaults collided, and I feel like Bottas had a mare as well, but I might just be misremembering it.
No, so well, I remember when it started, the lights went off. Verstappen bogged down again. Um, just doing a Mark Webber start, it's normal Verstappen things. Um, yeah, they're all going to the first corner. Vettel like gets like a ridiculous start. It goes around the outside of everybody, and it's basically the racing points. Then Mercedes and Renaults are all like in this like sandwich.
Yeah,
So like it was just like it was like a Mercedes sandwich where Mercedes are the bread, and then the Renaults are like the filling in the middle. And so like Hamilton dives in the on the inside, and then I think like Bottas hits Ocon, and then Ricardo somehow escapes, and then Vettel just goes around past all of them except for Hamilton, and then he eventually gets past Hamilton. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
That's how I remember it. But
I said it before. That turn one is cursed. I feel like every Tilke
yeah,
track has one really cursed corner and one like really good corner.
mm,
And this circuit's got turn eight and then turn one. Um,
realistically, turn eight shouldn't be one turn. It's got like 5 different turns inside it. I'm just looking at. I'm just like that should be turn 8, 9, 10, and 11. If we're really gonna be honest, but
yeah.
whatever.
And in this race as well, they were taking that. I feel like they were just off the throttle the entire way through that corner as well. When I was looking at the
Yeah, no,
onboards.
yeah. It was just like no, I've seen shit like when one way and they're calm the other way. I was like, okay, yeah, this is wet racing at its best, you know. Wet
Yeah.
racing at its finest.
Yeah.
See, I
Um.
told you like at the beginning of the year, I was just like they should arrange the calendar so you get the maximum possible wet races. And then you were
Yeah.
like, oh nah, I don't think that's possible or whatever. But like, you see, I'm just getting proven right every single time. We have a wet race, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It should
Um.
be it should be targeted for specific races though, like races that have like a where it's possible to hold a wet race, like not like Austria where it's in the mountains, but like somewhere like a not Silverstone, but like maybe a Germany or something where like
Mm,
it's close to a hospital and stuff, so like all the safety measures are met.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Going on from there, I somehow it was a 1-2 Racing Point, right? And
yeah,
there's so much stuff to remember this race. And Lance Stroll was just like dominating, and then
yeah,
it was
he had like
Verstappen,
a
and then there was like a pack of, wasn't it Hamilton, Vettel, Albon, and someone
mm,
else, I think. Like after
no,
those.
I think it was just those three.
Yeah.
Those three just together. Yeah, Vettel was like doing some I don't know some masterclass racing in the flipping wet. Like he was positioning his car perfectly, where like it was in the middle of the track, just in between the
Yeah.
curb, the curb, and it was just perfectly sat on the racing line. So like if you wanted to overtake him, you'd have to wet patches and then you know lose grip and tire temperature and shit. And it was just like I was just looking at this guy. I'm just like Hamilton in a flipping Mercedes, a 2020 Mercedes can't get past Vettel in his 2020 Ferrari. Obviously, I have to point out the years because people would be like, "Oh, Ferrari, Mercedes." 2020, like this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
Um.
Verstappen, oh my god,
I don't think I've
like
ever seen a defensive drive like Vettel. He seemed to be just he seemed to be like triple his width the entire
yeah,
like
that's what I'm
race.
saying.
I
No,
feel
but
like
because I
that's like one
yeah,
thing that people underestimate about Vettel is that even though he's had all these issues, especially this year, he still has a
mm,
lot of that experience of when you like won all those titles. So it's like I feel like if like next year, someone like Lance Stroll wouldn't be able to do like a defensive drive like Vettel
no,
because
no chance, no chance. I don't know, bro. Like I feel like I cursed. I remember before the race, I was like, I have a lot of faith in Lance Stroll. Before even like qualifying, and I was like, you know, I'm starting to gain faith in Lance Stroll, and then all of a sudden he gets a position. I'm just like, you know, I'm getting proven right, and then he does this in the flipping race. I'm just like, oh no. But to the Vettel point, there was I can't remember what turn it was, but so you know the second DRS zone, so like
yeah,
onto the second straight. The corner leading up to that, the
yeah,
corner where like Verstappen basically got underneath Perez and like spun.
yeah. I think it's turn 11 maybe.
Yeah, I think turn 11. Vettel always took a different line from where everyone else rode, put two tires onto the curb. He was the only one that didn't put any like tire on the curbs and just was just basically just sat on the track instead. And I feel like that line actually gave him an advantage over everyone else.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I'm
yeah.
not like 100% sure.
But yeah, it was like this period where like Verstappen was chasing in. I remember like being on Twitter, like actually saying like Verstappen should easily win this race at this point, and then it just all went wrong, didn't it? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Verstappen, obviously, he's still young. I just look at him and it's like there's a mistake in him. There's just a mistake in him. Every race, there's just a mistake happening, waiting to happen. Obviously, he had two massive mistakes this race where obviously the start and that Perez incident was just ridiculous. I was like, why? Like, who decides to try and overtake into turn? Basically, he tried to overtake into turn 11. He realized he couldn't do it, and then just stayed underneath the gearbox of Perez, and then tried to overtake onto the straight. I just fucked it. So
yeah,
I was like, that's so insane. Like, you
yeah.
couldn't have waited to get past 10, 11 and then like get the slipstream instead of, I don't know.
Hmm. I feel like I remember like back in 2018, um, there were like those infamous like six races. I think it was up until like Canada maybe, and Verstappen just had a horrific start to the season. Um,
Mm.
and then I remember at the end of that season, and then right up until like maybe like halfway through the season, I feel like he was like quite sort of accident prone. Like I didn't really see that many mistakes from him, but I feel like this race has really highlighted like a major problem with Red Bull because I remember like talking to you as the race was watching and like just like looking at the cars like from the TV feed and you could just tell like the difference between the Mercedes and even like the difference between like the Mercedes and the Ferrari and the Red Bull, like the Red Bull was just like oversteering everywhere, the back was kicking out,
Yeah,
like so
yeah.
it's
I
like
think something.
that's partially the reason why Alex Albon and like even Max Verstappen like had issues, and especially in the wet, like that even gets highlighted more and more.
Yeah, I think they had like a front wing setup issue or something. I saw
Yeah.
somewhere. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something to do with it, where it just ruined their race basically. So I was just like,
Mm.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't. I feel like that Red Bull definitely lost that race. Like they definitely could have got 1-2 if they really, really, really played their cards right. They just didn't.
Mm.
Um, yeah, Racing Point lost out as well. Obviously they did get like a second place, but they could have won that race. You know,
Yeah.
just a lot of people missed out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah. So like it was really the transition between the wets to the intermediates that Mercedes got on top, and even Ferrari as well. Like Ferrari actually had. I feel like this is like the first
very good
time Ferrari
pace.
had good pit stops and strategies for like maybe 5 years. Like maybe since I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. They kind of bottled Vettel's um, second pit stop, I think, but it was all
Yeah,
right.
it's an
It was like a
improvement
five
though. It's
second
an
pit. It was like a
improvement.
5 second pit stop, but no, no. But Ferrari, like the last time they had good pit stop strategy was 2018. Like genuinely,
Yeah.
like 2018. Because I remember the first race, they like basically bamboozled Mercedes, just pit
Yeah.
under the virtual safety car or some shit, and then they just won the race just through pit stops. But but yeah, like I feel like this Ferrari car under wet conditions is actually pretty decent.
Mm.
I think it's like probably like fourth or fifth best car when it's under the wet. Like
Yeah.
obviously,
I feel like it's
and
because they might be able to like run lower wings, so it, like
mm,
balances out on the straights when you're on like
yeah, and
wets.
and yeah, and also you have to factor the Ferrari team. Like as dumb as they may be, sometimes they do have like some sort of like experience with all these with all these wet races and trying to win a race or fighting for podiums, etc. That teams like Racing Point just don't.
Yeah.
That always happens with Racing Point. Whenever they're in a position to win, they like shit themselves. I keep saying this. They shit. They shit themselves, and they're like, "Oh, what do we do?" Canada a few years ago, 2017 Canada is the one that comes to mind when they were Force India when Ocon had fresh tires and then Perez was just like, I'm not letting him pass. And then they just ruined each other's races.
Yeah, it was the same with Williams in 2015 as well at Silverstone. Um, it's just that like race winning mindset, I guess. You know, Racing Point could have won this race and Williams could have won that race, and they were both on the wet conditions and they were changing conditions that Mercedes got them under
Mm,
on changing conditions. So it's just the same story, really. Um, but yeah, I guess after that, I feel like um, Mercedes played the strategy really well. Um, they
mm,
changed onto intermediates at the right time. Because they saw like Leclerc. I
yeah,
think like Leclerc maybe changed on a bit too early. And maybe some
no,
of the
but
other people, like they changed on early, but then the tires worn out, so they couldn't do the whole full like the one stop.
yeah, the thing is with Leclerc, he was actually quite far behind. I think he was in around eighth or ninth. So like he had to like make a call, otherwise he wasn't going to gain positions.
Hmm.
So and I feel like Ferrari were using Leclerc as like a pick for Vettel because Vettel was in like a really good position to get some nice points. Um, and then all of a sudden Leclerc was just putting in fastest lap after fastest. All the race leaders pitted for Inters, and it was all going well. And then Lance Stroll had issues with the Inters where he just had horrible grading.
Yeah.
Um,
And it
you
came
know,
out after that he had damage as well from like the first lap maybe as well.
mm, oh, I wasn't aware of that. But yeah, so he had grading, and Albon got past Vettel on track. So it was like Albon was third at that point. Um, yeah, and then there was like a second wave of pit stops, and then Perez and Hamilton were the only two to stay out, and Albon spun, which is like a pretty bold call. But I don't feel like anyone else could have like, pulled that off other than those two, because those two had like really good time management. I feel like eventually, I'm not sure about the Ferraris, but I feel like the Red Bull and Lance Stroll definitely would have like burnt out their tires. Um, just just by looking at like how they manage their tires throughout the
Yeah.
like I didn't trust those cars. I'm not really sure about the Ferraris. I feel like maybe the Ferraris could have pulled it out, but I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah. It's interesting to see because I feel like they pit with the assumption that um they would like
Everyone else is going
gain
to pit.
and that they would gain time on Hamilton, like he would just stay
Mm,
out. But it seems like this was just a bizarre race because of the grease and the fact that like the track didn't really dry out. Like it didn't even rain for like that much of the race. It just the track didn't dry out for some reason. Um,
mm,
so I feel like the fresh tires didn't isn't like it's not like on the slicks where you get like an actual tire advantage. Like Hamilton's
yeah.
like Hamilton's tires at the end of the race were literally like slicks. Like they were just completely worn.
No, but the thing about that tire advantage thing, um, at the time of pitting, I believe Vettel was in front of Hamilton when he pit. Yeah, he
Mm,
was in front of Hamilton when he pit because Hamilton couldn't. I remember. Yeah, I was making a big deal out of this together. How Hamilton just couldn't overtake Vettel. Um, but I feel like they made back decent time in the sense that they basically got onto the back of Perez by the end of the race. I feel like if they had like a few more laps, um, they would have made up the time that they lost up from the pit stop. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. I feel like maybe they lost like a few seconds, nothing like too drastic, or maybe they made a few seconds, or vice versa.
yeah,
But I feel like if they stayed, if Vettel stayed out, he would have ended up around second or third, regardless of you know if he stayed out or went into the pits. So
yeah.
that's what I could say. Because of DRS, we have to remember. I feel like Hamilton just walked past Vettel in DRS.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I guess I feel like it kind of died down towards the end. You can't like
mm,
no race is like always like amazing. Like not every lap's amazing, but
yeah,
at the end, Leclerc lost out on that podium, which was
yeah. If
I
you're
was
like,
kind of happier to see Vettel on there, but
yeah. I was like, when Leclerc took over Vettel, I was a bit like, damn. I guess it's just not your day, and then I don't know, but yeah, I feel like yeah, I don't know. Maybe he did that on purpose.
yeah.
and yeah, and I have to mention the underrated performance by Carlos.
Mm,
Yet again, smooth operator. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in that Ferrari seat.
yeah,
That was like, I feel like if the Ferraris didn't do well, we'd all be talking about how amazing Carlos did. Um, you know,
yeah,
um, like him and the Ferrari started around the same position, and they all ended up, third, fourth, and fifth. which is like ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah, so crazy.
yeah, and just one other thing to mention that I don't know, feel like this George Russell like elusive point is like never gonna happen. Like I don't know at this point, I feel like we've been through everything, and this is fucking like Russell is never gonna get this point.
What position did he finish again?
I think like 15th or 16th, like in the Goonies of
Okay, okay, it wasn't
like
even close. All right, stop talking about points, and it wasn't even close. You come like 11th or 12th. Okay, 15th. Come on, but no, George Russell. Okay, first Lando Norris overtook George Russell like it was an F1 game. He literally
yeah,
just didn't brake. He just just slid his car down the inside.
it's a sprint
It
race
was quite
lobby.
a sprint race, yeah, sprint race lobby where you brake check everyone. Yeah, you'll go down the street, someone will get DRS, and you just brake and then just damage their car and give them a penalty. But but yeah, like George Russell, I don't know, man. I feel like this probably could have been one of his best opportunities, especially wet race.
Yeah,
Like, let's be honest. But
I feel like we'll probably talk about it after the end of the season, but I feel like Williams probably a bit overrated this season. Like I don't feel like they made the gains that they thought
yeah,
that.
they've just been so bad. They've just been terrible.
I feel like it's just has like I feel like it's the whole Ferrari engine thing that makes them look better than they actually are. Did that make sense? Like
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like we forgot about how bad the Ferrari engine is. Actually, that's just been like forgotten. But no, one thing I would mention, yeah, if Alpha and Haas had like decent engines, they'd be like fighting for points every single week.
mm,
Um, Maybe less so Haas, but like definitely Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo actually have a pretty good car outside of the engine, I'd say. Especially like how they're sometimes racing the Ferrari.
yeah.
So,
Well,
but
a
that's not really
Ferrari
saying
with
much.
Vettel.
That's not really saying much. Yeah, no, I feel like they finally sorted out whatever issue Vettel had with his car. It was just like,
Yeah. Well, we'll see because going into Bahrain, like,
no, they're screwed. Ferrari are screwed in Bahrain. You remember edit we did for Belgium, or you did for Belgium. I was like, these guys are fun, and then yeah, but like it's just gonna happen again, especially the second one. I'm just looking at the second one. It's just literally Monza. It feels like Monza, like in the desert.
yeah, yeah.
So
Um, but yeah, I guess one thing I feel like I could dedicate like a whole episode to this, but like obviously Lewis Hamilton won his seventh championship, which is just like I feel like ever since I've been watching F1, it's the the seven world titles has always been a thing that felt like it would never happen.
yeah,
Like to me, it felt
yeah,
like no one would ever do that, and going from when I started watching in like 2010 or 2011, I kind of like rated Lewis Hamilton as like sort of rated him. I don't know where I'd put him, but like he's just like a one-time champion, like kind of like Damon Hill or like someone like that. Like when I started watching F1, right? I didn't like really rate him, you know.
Damon Hill. Oh my god.
um,
You see, like
but
this is why
that
if you
like,
said that to me in 2012, I would have punched you in the face.
but like, but like, it wasn't until I kept thinking that even after I didn't really rate him after his second championship, even his third. But it was 2017 and really 2018 that really proved that Hamilton was like
Mm,
unbelievably good. And I feel like this race sort of summed up everything that makes Lewis Hamilton one of like the best drivers ever. Um,
yeah,
Being able to like go that long on like a set of like like almost completely gone intermediates in a dirty Mercedes on a greasy track.
yeah. All the
Just
cars were disgustingly dirty as well.
um
I feel sorry for whoever has to clean that car.
but I feel like this is one of his best wins. being able to do that
Mm,
in the wet, especially, not let alone in the dry. But yeah, all the people, I feel like all the people that ever say, "Oh, it's because of the car or the engine," right? I feel like those people are just like actually morons at this point. If people don't understand how like I feel like people are gonna look back in like 10 years and like actually truly understand how good Hamilton is as just a sportsman, and just the mental ability to do what he does in the car is just truly like unbelievable. And I'm
yeah,
not even like a major like fan of Hamilton. Um like I don't know. I'm not like a major fan like as a driver, I guess. But if I look at him like just neutrally, no one. He's like unmatched. Um yeah, that's all
yeah,
I can say.
yeah. Even Sebastian was like, he's the best driver of this generation,
Yeah.
which actually says a lot considering he. I say he's a pretty not a close second, but he's probably second. You know, maybe like I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
Alonso
Yeah.
counts as part of that generation, but I feel like Alonso was like slightly older.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Alonso was like just a generation, in between Schumacher and
Yeah.
Vettel and Hamilton. Yeah, but like I don't know, when people say about the car thing, it just really bugs me because you're not gonna win a championship unless you're in the best car. Like normally,
Mm.
like unless it's like those seasons where like the cars are like interchangeable, like whether this car's the best or this car's the best,
Yeah.
and it's just down to like who's the better driver. But yeah, like when you look at what people used to say that a lot about Vettel. Um, I guess maybe now it's kind of true, but when they're like, oh, in his Red Bull, when he's in a different car, he won't win. But I don't know. That one is just a mixture of factors. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton is probably definitely the best driver of this generation.
Yeah.
Um, and like it's all credit to him. You know, like when you from his qualifying pace, he's probably one of the best qualifiers of all time. His race pace, just everything about that guy. He's just a flawless driver sometimes. And like when
Yeah.
he's at his best, I feel like he's just unmatched by anyone.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. Yeah,
And I feel like, um, people on Twitter were saying, "Oh, Nico Rosberg's the only driver to beat two seven-time world champions across seasons," right? And I know that is like technically true, but it's like I feel like Hamilton.
Nico Rosberg is. Oh my god! And the fact Nico Rosberg's a world champion just rubs me the wrong way. Just rubs me
Well, yeah,
like
but
just the
like,
wrong
yeah,
way.
what I was gonna say was I feel like the driver Lewis Hamilton was in 2016 is like a completely different person to the driver he was like after like 2017.
Regardless of 2016, we know everyone that's seen that season knows what happened, right?
Yeah.
Like Lewis Hamilton was gonna win Malaysia. His car broke down. If he won that race, he would have won the championship.
Mm,
Realistically,
yeah.
he was so many like his points differential. He was like so many points behind. He needed 5 races to even have a chance. And
Mm.
so, if we're gonna talk about like who should have won that world championship and like the circumstances leading up to Nico Rosberg winning, then we can discuss that. Like even on Mercedes Twitter when they posted about it in 2016, he said he won the most races of the flipping what do you call it, of the season. Like I don't know. I feel like context is key when you say shit like that. Just
Yeah.
context is just key. Like
And
just so
obviously,
dumb.
like talking about Schumacher in 2010 and 11 is just and 12 is just
Yeah, no, it's just oh my
he wasn't the
god.
same guy really. Like he wasn't the same
Yeah, no,
driver.
that's just this context is key. Like, what's wrong with people? Like, what's wrong?
Yeah, but I will. I don't know. I feel like it is probably understated how much influence. Like, I feel like Schumacher probably did have a major influence over like the foundational like building of the team. Like him and Ross Brawn,
Mm.
they like made
Yeah,
this the way that it is. I feel like without them, it wouldn't be the way it is now.
yeah.
And
All I want to, yeah. When Ross Brawn is paired with Michael Schumacher, the team eventually is a world championship winning team. Like we
mm,
saw that Ferrari and then Mercedes. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a shame that Ross Brawn is like part of like the is actually part of running F1 rather than being in F1 as like a team principal or racing.
mm,
Oh yeah, and speaking of team principal, I just want to say like I just want to put this out there. Ferrari came third and fourth when Matteo Bonotto just wasn't at the race. So yeah, I feel like Matteo Bonotto just needs to stay away from now on. He's just a bad luck charm.
yeah. I
Just
don't know.
confirmed.
I feel like F1 Twitter is just I've like F1 Twitter right now is just I feel like it's one of these things we get it you get it all the time in football especially. It's like there's like problems with the
yeah.
team and then everyone's just talking about the manager or the team principal and it's like there's bigger problems at Ferrari than Mattia Bonotto. Like people need to
No,
open
but
their eyes up a bit.
Matteo
Like
Bonotto is like a member of the flipping mafia. Like last, this guy is like, oh, this guy's just a flipping. I don't know, something about him just off. But yeah, like Lewis Hamilton, just an amazing driver. I don't know, like I don't want to be like, oh, we'll never see anything like this again. Everyone said that when Schumacher won 7 titles, now Lewis titles. So like,
yeah.
for all we know, Vettel could go in the flipping Aston Martin, win 3 titles, and then he's a seventh
Mm,
championship as well.
mm.
Because
Yeah, or Kimi Raikkonen could win six, then he'll have seven.
yeah,
So yeah.
Kimi Raikkonen could win 6, or Fernando Alonso could win 5. So like, no, but I feel like the Kimi Raikkonen one, the Fernando Alonso one's maybe a bit of a stretch. Aston Martin's like definitely a stretch, but I have a little bit of faith in Aston Martin.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is if Vettel gets one more title run, even if he doesn't win, I'll be happy. Like if he goes down to
Yeah.
the last race and there's like no like mistakes or shit
Yeah.
that's like involved in that shit.
Yeah.
If it's like a genuine like title race and it's like the storyline, I just want a good title race from now on, man.
We
That's
haven't
what
had it
I'm
in what? I don't even
since
count 2016. I
2012.
feel like
I don't
2016.
care about no 2016. The Mercedes ones were bullshit. I don't give a shit about them because it was just like no, because the Mercedes ones are like this. It's like this. It's like oh, Lewis Hamilton's gonna win, right? And when he doesn't win, we look at the reasons why he didn't win, and you're just like, oh, he should have won.
Yeah. I feel
But
like
when
no,
it's
but
like,
going into 20 no, like the first half of 2017-18, they were definitely title fights.
yeah, but it didn't go to the last race. I need to see it at the last race where it's like when they do this, like, oh, you don't understand what this is what I'm saying.
Nah,
That's
yeah,
why
I know what you mean, yeah.
because when I see the last title race is going down to the last race, they do this flipping segment where they talk about like, oh, what this driver needs to win, and the story leading up to it, and like how many races these guys won, and like all of this crazy shit, Like I remember like what do you call it? 2010. It was like some crazy shit. Like it was in Brazil. They were doing this in the second to last race, not even the last race. They were doing this the second last to last race. They were talking about how, oh, Jenson Button needs to win the race, and Fernando Alonso needs to finish out the top 6 for him to still be in contention. And like talking about how like these guys need to do this and this and to win the title. Like that's what really makes me, that's what I love about F1.
Mm,
It's like not about like the cars or like qualifying or anything. Just like the storyline of that year and like you know the possibilities of like how you can win and stuff is like what really makes me like I don't know, like gets me
yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
Because like now I'm just watching races just to watch the races. I'm not really watching a race because I'm like, oh shit, I have to see this one or some shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'll just say 2022 again, but we'll see.
I say like 20. I say like 2024 is like when it
Mm,
really start. When it'll
mm,
probably start.
yeah. But
When is it like 20? Like yeah.
on Hamilton as well, it's like I feel like it's almost like confirmed he's gonna get 8 titles as well. He's gonna get the. I feel like he's gonna be the first to get 8.
Yeah, if
So
he gets 8, like it's pretty much over. He's done. If he gets 8 titles and retires, like I don't think there's a better way to go out than that.
maybe, yeah.
Obviously, I don't want him to retire. I want him to go for as many as he can.
I want to see him
But
in a proper title fight with like 4 other people. That's what I really want to see now. It's like,
yeah, I haven't no because he hasn't been in like a title fight since 2010.
apart from with Rosberg, obviously, like we said, but
No, but that doesn't count. Don't count.
yeah. But
You
yeah,
can laugh, but I generally don't count it. I don't count it at all.
I guess
Because it's
talking
like
about Lewis Hamilton's teammates like Rosberg, I guess Bottas this race are just.
just piss off. He doesn't even deserve that car after that shit.
I
It's the most
mean,
pathetic display I've ever seen in my life. It's like guys like George Russell just sitting rotting in a Williams while this shit's going on. It's like, oh my god, disgusting. It's disgusting.
he spun 6 times in one race. I don't know. The thing is with like
How,
Bottas, it's just like I feel like every season he just like gets a minor upgrade and then it just wastes away to the end of the season.
no, but he's only won like 2 races, hasn't he?
Yeah, I
He might
think
not
so.
have even won 2 races. He might have won. I know he won the first one, but
Yeah.
oh, he might not have even won. No, but the thing is about drivers like Bottas and stuff. Like Bottas is like a Heikki Kovalainen, I'd say. Just not good, not bad. You know.
It's interesting. I saw someone on Twitter say, you put 2020 Bottas in the car against 2015 Hamilton, and he probably would be fighting. Which is fair. I feel like Hamilton has just been boosted by the Rosberg rivalry. So it just like looks unfair, like, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
no. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I was, I remember at the beginning of the season, I was campaigning. I was like, yeah, Vettel and Mercedes, it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be epic. 4-time world champion versus 6-time world champion. Blah 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 blah. Obviously, Mercedes decided not to take my advice because, like, who am I? you know, they're like, who the fuck are you to tell us how to win world championship? But like, I don't know. I was like, give the fans what they want, Toto. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But like, I feel like no one, if you put anyone in that car, there's no one's. I feel like maybe if they signed Vettel in 2015 instead of Rosberg, if Vettel was in the car instead of Rosberg, we'd get better title fights. Like up until like now, because I don't feel like Vettel would be like, I don't know. I don't know because I feel like when Vettel's in the best car, he's the best driver. But well, obviously not now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But but anyway, there's just one thing I wanted to talk about. Speaking of us not knowing what we're talking about, I saw this article on motorsport.com and it's basically saying like the F1 like management are gonna do exactly like what I've been saying to do for like 2 years or whatever. Like
But the rotation,
yeah, the rotation thing.
I guess, a
It says
all the
something about how this like Liberty Media somehow want to expand further into 24 races. It's just I don't know what's wrong with these people. Like they don't have anything to do on the weekend. Like
Look, the what do you call it? It's like F1 is like it's like a what do you call it? A prize cow, like a farm,
a
you know,
cash
whatever.
cow.
Yeah, just a cash cow, just milking it for everything. And then now it's like, 2022, no, 2020. I mean, it's like a skeleton of itself, right? So you can see like the cow's bones and shit, and then they're just coming back. You ever see that GTA meme where basically Rockstar Gaming, they just keep milking GTA 5,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're like, oh,
yeah.
with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X comes out, they get more buckets, and they're like, let's go again. They start milking it. Yeah, I feel like that's what Liberty Media is trying to get, like the maximum out of it. The
Yeah.
maximum. So
Um,
yeah,
they're trying to do like all these street races. Like, I remember seeing like how they remember that whole Miami GP, like with that bizarro track over the
yeah, it would have
bridge with the
been.
long race. I feel like that's been thrown in the bin at this point, and now
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
no. I
been
said the Miami residents didn't want it. Didn't want to race.
yeah. And I think COVID put a restriction on it as well. Just based on finances and things like that. But I get they're doing it in Saudi Arabia now. They basically moved Miami to Saudi Arabia, so
Oh, and Vietnam, but obviously Vietnam got cancelled. But
yeah.
actually, I don't even
Um,
want to race at Vietnam because it's just like, why Vietnam?
yeah. Why Vietnam when we can have Malaysia? Like, you know.
It's like just across the pond, just like literally just a bit more east. Wait, am I right? Yeah, a bit more east. You there? Actually, I might be wrong with my job.
I think it's southwest, but you know who's counting realistically. But
Southwest. Nah. All right, all right.
but yeah, I feel like I don't know the tracks like Portugal. I feel like that track has to be on the F1 calendar now. That track is so good, and
Oh, it's just south. Literally just south. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Technically east. Technically it is east, but
the more you know. um, yeah, but we'll we'll see. I guess. The thing is like with the rotating tracks is the probably more be in Europe. Um, I feel like Liberty Media is having like this sort of identity crisis right now between balancing the needs of the teams and balancing the needs of like corporate needs of like expanding out. Because I think what Liberty Media
yeah,
want to do is like make F1 into like a less like European sport, because if you like look at F1, it tries to think of itself as like an international sport, but like
it's not international at
yeah.
all.
When you see how many like drivers there are from Europe and like realistically like it's a European series that just goes expands out. That's the way I've looked at it for like a long time.
Yeah, with
Um
one Brazilian driver every while. No,
yeah.
but what was I gonna say? Liberty Media is like they're like that cool uncle, that comes in, gives you like £5. It's like I'll go buy what you want and shit. But then like probably like, you know, but then after a bit you realize he's not like he's basically like your dad. He's the same as your dad. Let's say Bernie Eccleston's your dad, yeah. And then Liberty Media comes in and then he treated F1 amazing. And like, oh, we love Liberty Media. And then we just realize, oh, it's just a shame shit.
Yeah. I remember after 2017, I was so excited for Liberty Media to come in because the amount of just poor decisions that was made under Bernie Ecclestone. The biggest one of that was like Sky Sports F1, which is like just And I remember, like at that time, especially, there was a lot of talk about like getting rid of Brazil and Silverstone and Monza and um yeah, and like they obviously built up the Russian Grand Prix and Baku and um yeah. So I really feel like for a few years it did feel like really good. You know, we got stuff like F1 TV and we got a lot of like F1. Like I feel like on the sort of
Yeah,
media
F1
media
highlights on YouTube.
side, the media
Yeah,
side of like Liberty Media has actually been like really good. Like the way that they've marketed F1 and
yeah,
like the
Liberty
you
Media. Who would have thought?
yeah yeah. But it feels like they're still like lingering on the sort of stuff we talked about, like on the corporate side of having all these like bizarre races and the business structure of like how races are funded. But yeah, guess we'll have to see. I feel like the rotating calendar is like it's another classic good idea, but I feel like it's just gonna
Look,
get bungled, and I feel like it's just gonna get scrapped after 2 years.
yeah, I feel like you should definitely do some legal research onto that. Because if it coincides with when you first said it, to you should have some sort of idea rights, right? You should be compensated in some way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure everyone's really paying attention to what I have to say.
No, I'm just saying, like, they've got people like I feel like there's people at F1 just watching like F1 YouTubers, you
Hmm.
know, and just be like, you know what, that's a great idea. We're gonna implement that shit. But I don't know. I don't know if we fit into that category. But,
Maybe not. Maybe not.
no. No, I know they're
One.
listening to me. You know, I'm a genius.
One final thing from the Turkish Grand Prix I wanted to say was about this whole. Did you see this thing about the crane incident with going into qualifying
Yeah,
two?
yeah.
Um, this was just this is just bizarre, to be honest. Like I don't know what the FIA are doing, to be honest, because usually when we criticize the FIA, it's more when they're overbearing on penalties or certain safety measures. But this was just like this was a major
Yeah,
failure for F1. Um, I feel like it could be a thing that Turkey hasn't hosted, hasn't even like had an actual like race at that track for like basically a decade, and they probably because of like
yeah,
COVID, they probably had to like scrape together like marshals and the safety infrastructure. So they don't have like the big like crane infrastructures like at Silverstone. They have like big cranes. That means you don't have to put like stuff on the track. Um, but like the major problem like was when Michael Massey from the FAA came out and said, "Oh, it was fine," and they just tried to like cover it up. They didn't actually come out and say we're going to investigate and penalize and because
yeah,
like all the stuff that came in after the George Bianchi incident, the virtual safety car and like the delta times under the first lap of the safety car, especially like at a wet race like this on a high speed corner, like what happened to Jules Bianchi. Um, I feel like this should. I feel like people should face major consequences for this. Like the stuff that could have like happened because of this, especially because they just had like double yellow flags on a wet race. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it could have been like very dangerous. Like it could have gone bad. Obviously, like double yellows with a crane on a wet track does kind of scream Jules Bianchi. And I was just looking at it and it's like, we don't want that to happen again. No, I don't think anyone. So I don't know. I feel like it just undid a lot of hard work. I feel like that's what it was. It just undid like a lot of what do you call it? Um, I feel like after the Jules Bianchi, F1 kind of lost not like its reputation or anything, but like it was like like a big shock. And yeah, obviously when someone dies in the sport, and it's like deemed dangerous and stuff, the sport has to like rebuild its reputation in some way, and I feel like that's just kind of undid a lot of hard work. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't really have too much to say other than you've said. Like, I agree with everything you said.
Mm. Yeah. Hopefully we don't see it again, but it's not like we get that many well, regardless of the wet race, like especially on like turn 8, it's such a high speed corner. Like that's a dangerous corner anyway. And we've seen like stuff that can happen like Anton Hebert, like with high speed corners, like I feel like now, especially I feel like I've gotten like more concerned about safety, especially because of that incident. Like you can have like as much safety infrastructure as you want, um, but I don't feel like that risk is like ever going to go away. Because I used to think like, oh, this kind of stuff doesn't happen, but then it does happen, and then you realize that even though we've come so far since like the whole Ayrton Senna thing, it still needs to be just like the main priority, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess can look at some predictions maybe. um so this was me last race, predicted P1 for both categories, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. um and yeah, I feel like we both lost major points as well because of Bottas, so
Yeah, I don't know. The Verstappen kind of fucks me, but
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
um
Verstappen kind of fucked me. All he had to do was come second or whatever.
yeah. um I'm on 95 and you're on 77. That's just because the F1.5, I think, mainly. Um,
Yeah, F1.5 has just ruined me. Like the first weekend of F1.5, I was sailing high, right? I was sailing high the first weekend of F1. It just fucked me. I don't know. It's
yeah,
like like the fastest lap is like impossible to predict. Like it's
yeah.
impossible to predict.
Because I feel like the midfield is like competes for it more, especially this season, than previous seasons. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Um, but I guess can look forward to next weekend, Bahrain. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Bahrain. I like that. I like Bahrain. It's like probably top five tracks for me. Bahrain.
Mm,
It's up there. So yeah, I do like Bahrain. It usually has some not like incredibly exciting races, but like it does have nice races. So yeah, plenty of overtaking opportunities. I feel like
yeah.
all over the track. So yeah,
Um, 2014 was a real good one.
2014 Bahrain.
Yeah, and
Mm,
2017, 2018, I remember them being good as well. So
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty
Even
decent.
2019 was pretty good, but like Charles Leclerc got cursed. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be weird having it at the end of the season. I always remember it as like the start of the season being at
Yeah,
Bahrain. So
yeah, first or second race.
yeah. um, I don't know. I feel like we always get to this stage in like seasons when there aren't championship hopes, where it's just like everyone just gets like it's a bit
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
everyone gets a bit tired of it. Like
I feel like I've kind of lost a prediction battle at this point. You know, like there's only like three more races left, and I've got like what? How many points gap do we have?
18.
Yeah, like I don't think I'm gonna. If I get like 10, you're gonna get like six. And then you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
I'd have to get like a net gain of like plus three each race.
remember your season prediction.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
So it's a bit closer than you think. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I predicted Hamilton to win the championship. Just
Yeah.
give me my 50 points. Just give me my points now. Wait,
um
how many points is that?
I feel like it'd probably be I think it's 10, right? feel like that's the rule that I made up in my head.
Yeah. Okay. 10. Okay. So like 8 points, and then you probably have like you have points for Verstappen. I don't know. You probably get points for those, but
Yeah, but what do you predict for Bahrain?
I don't even know. Um, you know what? I feel like since Hamilton won the championship, he might like slack.
Mm.
I'll say, do I want to say Bottas? I want to say Bottas. Fuck it, Bottas, then Hamilton, and I don't know if I trust Red Bull on the track. Wait. Actually, make it Verstappen,
Right, so Verstappen first,
Verstappen first,
then Bottas and Hamilton.
then Bottas and Hamilton.
Okay.
Fastest lap, I'll go Verstappen. Um, hmm. I do like the Renaults. I do like the Renaults on this track. Okay. Hmm. Perez, Ricardo, Sainz.
Mm.
Fastest lap. I don't know, like Stroll, Perez.
Mm. Okay.
I feel like that's a solid prediction, but I don't
I
know.
feel like I don't know. Verstappen. I feel like Red Bull are gonna be trash at this track.
Yeah, no, this is outside the box prediction. It's gonna pay off or pay. It's not gonna pay off. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Because you
I was
said
like, I was like,
that, I'm gonna predict. I feel like Bottas is gonna win. I've got a feeling about Bottas, to be honest. Don't know. I feel like this is like a
yeah.
Mercedes kind of track. Um, then I'll say Hamilton. Then I'll predict. Ooh, I feel like Ricardo will be good here. Fastest lap. I'm gonna say. I'll say Carlos Sainz. 1.5 Ricardo, and then. I feel like everyone's forgotten about AlphaTauri this season, like over the past few races. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
just
Gasly.
justified.
And then
I can't even laugh at your prediction because
Perez.
F1.5
Fastest
is
lap.
outside the flipping window. You know.
Yeah. So those are the predictions, I guess. That's about it. You predicting a good race? What do you think about it?
I think it's gonna be quite boring. You can't have two good races in a row.
Yeah, yeah. And you got to
It's not
save the good
allowed.
one for the second Bahrain one as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be just stupid. I feel like that track's gonna be dumb.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's about everything really. Anything else?
Nah, I feel like we've covered everything.
Awesome.
I'm a bit tired. I'm gonna go take a nap.
All right, cool. So thanks for coming along. Um, see you on in after the next race, I guess. All
I
right,
guess sometime
see
in the
ya.
future.
All right, cool.